So this is our ninth annual Juried exhibition. So we're very proud in the Houston area to provide this opportunity for artists to come and bring in work and have some juried selection and partner with the charity. So our charity this time is Casa de Esperanza de los Ninos. And one thing we do is we share the proceeds of the sales in the juried show. So 50% of your purchase is going to go directly to the charity, and the other 50% will go to the artists. So we're proud to offer that to the artists and the charities as well. With the Casa Esperanza de los Ninos, we do have a couple of representatives. Katie Griffin, Community Relations Coordinator, and Sarah Michon, she's a Marketing and Development Coordinator. Katie, would you mind saying a few words about where the proceeds will go and what they will do?
Hi there, so I'm Katie, and so we are from Casa Esperanza. Casa is a licensed foster care placement agency. We're located in the medical center. We take in children from birth to 6 years old who have been removed from their homes due to abuse, neglect, homelessness, drugs, domestic violence, anything you can think of, any type of hardship. And we provide residential care for them while their parents get the help that they need. So our caseworkers will work really closely with the parents to help them receive whatever services that will help them, such as parenting classes, domestic violence programs, drug rehab programs, in the hopes that they will get their lives back on track so that they can reunite with their children. And when that's not possible, we will facilitate adoptions. Something that's really unique about us is that we have this really great neighborhood that you can come and tour. If you would ever like to come and tour it, definitely reach out to us because we love showing people our kids and who we help and where they're staying. In this neighborhood, there are 10 beautiful homes that David Weekly came in and built at cost, and then donors came in and sponsored them. So our children, they're not living in an orphanage-like setting. They're living in beautiful 7-8 bedroom homes where their artwork is up everywhere and their photos are up everywhere, so they know this is my home and this is where I belong. And the people who take care of our children are our Hands of Hope interns, and they are recent college grads who come and do a year of service and take care of the children and are the foster parents of the children. I used to be a Hands of Hope intern, so if anyone has any questions about that program, definitely come and talk to me. But overall, we are just so grateful that Archway Gallery is doing this for us, and we are so excited to be participating in this show, and we cannot thank you enough for how much this will do for our children. Every little bit makes a difference, so this will make a huge impact on the lives of so many children who really need the help.
Get Liz Spencer up. Becky Soria would come up also. These ladies were our key organizers of the event. So Liz, I guess we had a record 224 pieces entered in the show by 123 artists. And well, I get the awards.
One more thing about Casa. It's not a new charity in this area. It's well established, it's well respected, and all of us should do our very best to support the wonderful work that they do. Another way that you can do that is by dropping cash or checks into the donation jar at the bar. Archway Gallery will turn that cash or those checks into one single check, which will be sent to Casa just to keep everything nice and audit safe. And we appreciate your help with the support the gallery will offer to Casa and through all of you, of course. Thank you very much. We never dreamed that this exhibition would grow to the wonderful event that it is, but we have been wise, I think, in selecting really prestigious and smart and fantastic jurors, and we have been blessed also by the support of the artists in our community. And I want to thank you all who entered the show and who have also been accepted in the show for doing so, because that's what helps to make this such a great event. Also, one more thing. 50%, as Joel said, 50% of the sales of these pieces directly benefit Casa. The other 50% directly benefit the artists who are in the exhibition. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce our juror, Dr. Fernando Casas. He was born in Bolivia in 1946. He studied under Bolivia's master painter, Raul Prada. In 1964 and in 1968, he won the first national awards in painting and drawing, respectively. In 1968, he arrived in the U.S. on scholarship. He received his BA in philosophy from Colorado College, graduating magna cum laude. He took a Hastings Prize, which I'm not familiar with, but it sounds really important, for a paper in philosophy. At Rice University, he received his master's in 1972 and his PhD in philosophy in 1978. Dr. Casas has exhibited his artwork in numerous group and solo exhibitions in commercial galleries and museums in cities including Houston, New York, Los Angeles, Tokyo, Florence, Lima, La Paz, and Santiago. In 2003, he was awarded the Premio a la help me out here. Carriera. It's Italian. My Spanish didn't help me here. Excuse me. The Premio a la Carriera at the Florence Biennial. Since the 1980s, Dr. Casas has taught and lectured at several universities in South and North America, his longest association being with Rice University here in Houston, where he has taught humanities and philosophy as a distinguished lecturer for 20 years. He lectures regularly at the Women's Institute, which is a fabulous organization. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Fernando Casas.
Shortcoming. I don't do well with these things. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'll hold it.
It doesn't work. I need to move to think. So those things will just go. Guys, first of all, I want to say that I want to thank the artists of this wonderful gallery, Archway, for inviting me, and I am very glad to do it, not only for the obvious reasons of the events like this have become quite important to the community, but there is a worthy cause in this case of a charitable organization such as the Casa, Esperanza de los Ninos. Well, guys, I need to confess to you that I accepted to do this with great trepidation, and the reason why that is so, I think you will get from what I'm going to do next, which is just explain about 4 basic ideas that I used in making the selection I made and the decisions that I made, the criteria that I used. It seems to me that to judge fairly, not just to judge, but to judge fairly, a work of art is a very, very difficult and actually a treacherous thing to do. And one doesn't need to marshal like this into sophisticated philosophical arguments to come up to that conclusion. All we need to do is just take a superficial look at the history of art and see that how experts have gone wrong again and again and again, right? And they have gone wrong in 2 accounts. One account is some experts who fail to recognize the value of something, and other sort of mistake are experts who insisted in the great value of the contemporaries only for history to prove them wrong. So, I think that a large, not all, but a large part of the problem comes from the nature of creativity, from what creativity is. And it is a very mysterious and very fascinating thing. And And even art itself is extraordinarily difficult to understand. Philosophers of art are really, I mean, very well aware that we cannot come up even with the necessary and sufficient conditions that determine something to be an artwork. And let alone creativity. I mean, there's no real understanding how can it happen, and in fact there are all sorts of contradictions when you try to explain it. Because if you explain the contradiction, it means that it's not, if you explain creativity, it means that it's not really creative, that it was not something that appears spontaneously without any foresight. It's unpredictable, and that is the sort of amazing thing. Very difficult to predict. So, creativity being that wonderful thing, we should not jump to the idea that, or the conclusion that all times, every time that we see something new that pops up is great. There are thousands of things that can be done that appear for the first time, and they are totally boring and superficial. So there it is, those are the problems. The thing is to come up with something that is new, right, something creative, but that it has something, that it opens up space, that has some thought, that it brings significance to some space. And that is what is magnificent. And when an artist really manages to do that, well, her work, or his work, all of a sudden get this character of depth, right, and significance, which is wonderful. The other criteria, it would be competence, right? The choice of materials and how the materials are handled. And you might think, oh, that's easy. We know, we have very well established standards. I mean, how to judge what it is a good oil painting, how the brush had to go, the colors, the composition, the cleanliness, all the standards go there. The same for watercolor, etc. It's a straightforward judgment. Well, not really, because sometimes in the choice of materials, creativity, a difficult thing comes in. In the painting, in the using of the craft, however crafty the person is, creativity can come in. But there are even worse problems than that. There are certain magnificent works of art, very important, that have no craft whatsoever, no material whatsoever. I mean, just think of Duchamp's urinal, right? It's an important work of art, and there's no craft and no materials. So it is a criteria that neither necessary nor sufficient for something to have value as well. And the last thing I want to bring is another consideration, neither sufficient nor necessary, but it comes to mind when one should make judgments, is beauty. And I mean beauty with a capital B. And what I just said, I know is very much at odds with many strong movements within modern art. Because as many of you surely know, in the middle of the 18th century, when modern art just erupted in Paris, they explicitly, the artists explicitly rejected all the art of the past. And in doing so, they rejected beauty. I think it was a wonderful moment in the history of art that something terrible happened. In rejecting beauty, right, they threw away the baby with the bathwater, right? Because what was known as beauty at the time was this atrocious, far-fetched, kitsch style that had been developed for decoration and for paintings and for architecture for the corrupt aristocracies of the last 2 centuries in Europe. So in rejecting that, all beauty was rejected. And I think that beauty is the experience of beauty, whether it's in nature, whether it is in the art, etc., is something so profound and so important that we should not just let it go because that's in modern canon. So I look for that as well. Having said that, I mean, the 224 works that were presented were quite interesting. I'm sorry not all can get in, and not only because of considerations of the space, but also considerations of that a show has to be put together, that hangs together in a good way. And lastly, I want to say, so there are many works that deserve to be exhibited, haven't been exhibited. Lastly, I want to make clear that in doing the selection, I came across with 2 names of artists, not only that I recognize, but I am pointed and I know them personally. Those 2 people did not even consider for any sort of for obvious reasons. Okay? So, thank you very much.
Question?
Yes.
How do you weight those 4 components, or differentially?
Question is, how did he weight those 4 components?
More or less like this. I mean, if I see something that has a great amount of craftsmanship and beauty put together, I will go for something like that. In other cases, it is a conceptual that it is so strong. And I try to not to choose just works that go for one criteria or the other, but at least giving similar weight to the several criteria. Whether it is conceptual, whether it is technical, or it is creative, or beauty. And if they are all connected, all the better. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's get to some awards.
Take a label.
All right, first we're going to start with some honorable mentions. First honorable mention tonight is Eileen McClellan. And stay up here and we'll get some group photos on the spot. All right, our second honorable mention. All right. Okay. And who? All right, I know this guy. Next honorable mention, Anthony Papadolano. Karen Isel. And our last honorable mention, Lisa Shell.
I hear
I guess Lisa's not here on behalf of the Academy.
I can't make it.
All right, under our third place, and I think you want to say a few words after I announce.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh, I can announce it. Let me find the counterpart check. So this is third place, and $150 goes to Michael Horvath. I don't like you, sir.
All right, let me say something that I actually wrote about his piece. Mr. Horvath received the third prize for his very strong work. Seldom one finds a work of art that is simultaneously terrifying and funny. Reading the accompanying text is essential to grasp the piece. The text tells us the story behind this presumptive model of a massive floating crane. The seemingly rational text soon reveals itself as a laughable and absurd tale, but hilarity disappears when we turn our gaze once again to the model crane and discover in it the horrifying image of our absurd and corrupt technological civilization.
Second place, and $250, Sally Worthington. All right, Sally's not here.
Very short. Miss Sally Worthington received the second prize for her beautiful piece, a clean work with delicate shadings and subtle colors. In this piece, the beauty of nature and the beauty of craft blend in great simplicity.
Who was blessed with first place? Congratulations to Gia Shan Lang.
And exhibition.
Miss Lang's piece received the first prize. The work is done with admirable craftsmanship, I'm running out of saliva, and beauty, I should add, right? However, the most remarkable aspect of this piece is that this vitrine, housing a group of Chinese gods in an object foreign to the artistic canons of modern art or postmodern Western art are here. Surely, the original meaning of this vitrine is to be found in its Chinese context, which most of us, I assume, are simply ignorant of. And yet, Miss Lang, in a bold, conscious or unconscious, transcultural, transgressive act, entered this vitrine into a modern art competition in the USA. Thus, she forces us to look at it as a work of modern art. I leave the viewer to find for himself, the various meanings this piece may acquire under our gaze. A word of advice: some interpretations may be revelatory of our own ethnic prejudices when we, for example, contemplate the other as encased in a small glass box.
Remaining at the gallery for a few more several minutes to discuss individual artists. Thank you again, everyone, for coming.